The first topic is January 6th was an insurrection 100% led by Trump. Okay, Destiny, what are your initial thoughts? And then we'll just get into it. Go ahead.
Oh my God. Hold on.
Are we live right now?
Yeah.
We are live.
Do you want?
Just curious. Okay.
Do we want to introduce anybody or?
Yeah, this is Martae. Martae, tell people who you are, I guess.
I'm Martae Ruelas. I'm an extension of somewhat of the Crucible, and also I'm a IFBB professional bodybuilder, a blood sport debater, and I love talking politics and social issues and relationship dynamics. And you can find me on X as Mighty Martae, and also Instagram as The Real Mighty Mouse, and also YouTube on the Edge. You can find my channel and tune in later. So
Okay.
that's my intro.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
All right. I gotcha. I'm here. Okay. Wait, and then are these supposed to be 30 minutes each? Is that how you're running this?
Yep.
Or?
Yep.
Jesus.
20 to 30 minutes each. Go ahead.
Okay. I think that Donald Trump had a clear plan to overthrow the U.S. election. I think that he had a clear structure in place to do it. He was basically faking electorate votes across the 7 states needed. He had a plan to pressure the vice president of the United States to accept the fake electorate votes. And then the goal was to use violence in January 6th in order to pressure lawmakers to accept the fake votes. Obviously, it ended up failing, but I would say that everything points pretty clearly to it being an insurrection. Like the plan is all like pretty open out there and everything else. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Martae. Why is that wrong?
So the reason why it's wrong is because we're not here to argue that Trump headed an insurrection, meaning like the electors. We're not here to argue the electors at all. So the elector scheme is irrelevant completely. If Trump tried to seat them down, there was no riot. If there would be no riot, there'd be no quote unquote insurrection. So, I mean, so here's the thing though, Destiny's going to try to bog me down with this elector scheme, which is irrelevant and doesn't make sense. It's nonsensical. So going on to my point, I'm not trying to gish gallop here, but his statements are not a direct call to violence. As we've seen, the event was a disorganized protest at best, rather than a coordinated coup. Where's the coordination at? I didn't see a direct call for a riot or violence by Trump. Where was that at, Destiny?
So you say disorganized protest, but didn't they all go to the Capitol building and then try to break into the Capitol building to circumvent the certification of the election? And didn't they succeed in that? Or did that all just happen accidentally?
So here's the thing, Trump, and I quote, "I demand that Congress do the right thing and only count the electors," which, by the way, is not even really analogous to this whole point, "who have been lawfully slated. I know that everyone here will be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically protest." Where's the call for violence there?
So that's actually the perfect encapsulation of the entire election. When he says Congress should only seat the lawfully slated electors, he's talking about his fake ones. And when he says everybody's going to march over to the Capitol to make your voice heard, he's sending his people, not in a disorganized manner, but in a very organized manner, over to the Capitol building to pressure Congress to accept his fake electors.
So
And
once
that's
again,
exactly
the elector scheme isn't relevant to the insurrection, by the way. So when we're talking about the insurrection, you're failing to bring up any points as far as the motivation. Where's the motivation?
To what? For what?
For this so-called insurrection that you're seeing.
The motivation
that
is
we're
to
talking
stay in
about.
office for 4 more years.
Well, no, the motivation for anybody is to stay in office. That's if they're running for Congress, governor, or anything like that. Everybody's motivated to do this. I'm talking about the insurrection. Where's the motivation for the specific insurrection?
The motivation is to pressure Congress to accept his fake electors so that he remains in office.
Right. I can go ahead and pressure anybody to do anything, but we're talking about commanding people to do an insurrection.
Okay, so here's a question. So help me with this, okay? So do you agree that everybody was there on January 6th because Trump called them to be there?
Well, as far as this, yes, a peaceful protest.
So he called them to be there. Do you agree that everybody went to the Capitol building afterwards because Trump said that they would all be marching to the Capitol?
He said to peacefully protest. Yes. Once again,
do you agree that they all went to the Capitol building because Trump told them to go to the Capitol?
Not fitting the guidelines for any insurrection. We're talking about a peaceful protest.
I'm just asking a simple question. Did Trump tell them all to go to the Capitol building?
He said to march over to the Capitol building. Yes.
So he called all of them there on January 6th. They all marched to the Capitol building. Okay. They broke through the barricades and they started to break into the Capitol building to delay the certification of the vote. Did Trump make any effort until Ashley Babbitt got shot and killed, did Trump make any effort to intervene when he was notified that the Capitol was being overrun?
Hold on, let's back up. You're talking about making an effort. Well, let's get past this first point. When did he state to break past the barriers or do any of this other stuff?
I never said that. I'm asking, did he make any effort to intervene once the barriers were broken?
So there's a timeline here. So he did text right after this, matter of fact, to go home in peace as soon as he could, urging rioters to go home in peace. The critics vaguely argue this was too late and included a sympathetic language like "we love you," things like this. But once again, this wasn't direction. This wasn't direction.
No one is talking about direction. I'm just asking, was it not the case that the Capitol was broken into and for hours there was a riot there before Trump told people to go home?
Destiny, my first point was intention and motivation. Can we get past this first?
No, you can't even answer my simple question, so I don't know if there's any point in this. So far you agree that everybody was there because Trump called them to be there on January 6th. They marched to the Capitol building because, what?
I had a simple question. Where's the intention and motivation? We're getting past this. Now you want me to ask your questions without...
I don't know what you mean, the intention and motivation. The intention was to circumvent the lawful electoral vote slating process. That was what they wanted to do, and he did it. He managed to circumvent it for some time.
Entailment of proving this. Can you show me in any way where this was tied to a disruption? Meaning, like, if you're talking about this specifically, can you point to where he instructed people to commit any treasonous insurrection activity? Period. You're failing time and time again.
Hold on. What is my standard of proof here? Do I have to show him saying you guys need to commit treason?
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question.
No, wait. I need you to answer the question. Does Trump have to say, I need you guys to commit treason?
He doesn't have to say this for a riot.
Okay. So then when Trump's final words in his speech were, and we fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. How am I supposed to interpret that?
His final words were marching over to the Capitol building and peacefully patriotic protest. You're leaving this out, Destiny.
Sorry, hold on. I'll read the whole last program. No, that fight peacefully thing, that's not his last words at all. These are all of his, this is the end of his speech. And we fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. Our exciting adventures and boldest endeavors have not yet begun, my fellow Americans, for our movement, for our children, and for our beloved country. And I say that despite all that's happened, the best is yet to come. So we're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue. I love Pennsylvania Avenue. We're going to the Capitol, and we're going to try and give, the Democrats are hopeless. They never vote for anything, not even one vote. But we're going to try and give our Republicans, the weak ones, because the strong ones don't need any of our help. We're going to try and give them the kind of pride and boldness that they need to take back our country. So let's walk down Pennsylvania Avenue. I want to thank you all. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you for being here. This is incredible. Thank you very much. Thank you. So my question, one question, and then you can ask me whatever. Wait, one question. Just let me ask one question, and then you can ask whatever you want. I'll answer it. Can you tell me, after he ends a speech like that, saying "fight like hell and take your country back," when all of them walk to the Capitol, or when all of them walk to the Capitol building afterwards, and then they break in and they fight like hell to take their country back, was that just a coincidence?
Destiny, I know you like to gish gallop right now.
I'm not gish galloping. I just read a quote and asked a question, but you're not going to answer it because you know the answer.
Quotes right now. This is what you're doing right now. I'm trying to answer your question right now, and you're just talking over me. I'm asking for the inciting of violence. I haven't heard that. I haven't heard anything as far as like inciting a riot. I'm not hearing about tearing down buildings, killing anybody, or doing any destructive activities. All I'm hearing is a powerful speech by Trump. That could, matter of fact, I'll even concede. Let's say that he was talking about a riot. Does this fit the definitional terms of what an insurrection is?
Yes, but we're not talking about a riot either. But also, so then you're telling me then that it was just a coincidence that after this speech, it's a coincidence that it's a coincidence that after this speech, everybody went down to the Capitol, broke into the Capitol building, and delayed the certification of the vote, which is exactly why they were there to protest. That was all a coincidence.
You know what? That would happen during a riot too, right?
I'm going to keep I'm just going to keep repeating the exact same question until he answers that. I'm just letting you know. But that's okay. We can do this for the next 20 minutes.
Well, technically, the last words he said was "go home in peace," literally.
I'm talking about the speech, and I'm going to repeat my question. So it was a coincidence then that the people who were gathered there on January 6th to protest the certification of the vote, that were told by Trump to fight like hell, that walked down to the Capitol, that they broke in and they got through and they prevented or they delayed the certification vote. That was a coincidence.
I would say yes, this can coincidentally happen in any riot situation or any grouping situation. This can happen after a Knicks game, after they lose in a basketball game. Things like this happen. If we say, oh, we're going to fight like the Fighting Irish, and it's going to happen.
Wait, you said like a basketball game.
An insurrection.
Go ahead, Martae. Get to your question.
The question today is if Trump led an insurrection, not if he led a riot, not if he led a group. I'm trying to hear the motivation and intention. I'm not hearing any of that through the speech. You're failing to prove that.
What were they there to protest? Why were they there on January 6th?
So right now we're talking about a system in place that people disagreed with.
What system? What were they there on January 6th to protest?
An electorate system.
So the president of the United States brought them there to protest against the electorate system, and then all of those people that were sent by the president to the Capitol building that ended up delaying the certification of the vote, those two things aren't connected at all to you. That was just a coincidence.
I mean, can you point out where the motivation was to cause violence or a riot?
Yes, the words we fight like hell.
We fight through votes. We fight through free speech.
You can't fight through votes. The election was over.
Well, hold on. No, there's still a vote, meaning our speech. We vote in the way that we talk, in the way that we walk, in the way that we protest. So there's still, quote unquote, hypothetical votes that are still happening through our presence, through means of protesting and walking. So that's what I'm referring to when I say voting. So not only do we vote this way, we vote by our dollars when we buy things. So what I'm saying, though, is that I'm still waiting for proof or any evidence that this was incited by Trump and led by Trump, even though he spoke to peacefully conduct this and march this towards the Capitol. I'm still not hearing this. You saying simply fight, fight, fight. This could be a fight through our voices, through marching, through protest, which is peacefully. I'm not hearing any of this stuff. I'm not hearing intention or motivation.
So then tell me, what type of evidence would you need? Would you need Trump to say, you need to go to the Capitol building and break into the Capitol building and commit treason? Is that what you need?
I mean, that would basically help, but I don't see
that would only help.
Related to that.
Can I ask, what short of that would you consider evidence, Martae?
You mean my threshold as far as like what would you consider? I would say I need you to go ahead and do them in bad, specifically them. Meaning like I need you to go ahead and just put a stop. Like meaning like let me clarify this, right? Let me offer a clarifier. Something akin to creating treason. Any language as far as causing treason, meaning overturning an election. I don't hear any language as far as
wait, any treason like overturning an election? So when he said in the speech, okay, you look back there all the way to the Washington Monument, it's hard to believe, we must stop the steal, and then we must ensure that such outrageous election fraud never happens again and can never be allowed to happen again. What does he mean when he says stop the steal there?
Meaning that there's an investigative process that's happening right now.
No, sir, I'm sorry. No, it's January 6th. He's lost the election, and they're just doing the certificate. That we're past that.
Hey, hold on. Do you think an investigative process stops after an election? No.
They didn't, and they lost their cases. They didn't find anything. Yes, it stops at that point. The transition of power is going to happen.
Hold on. Do you think that there can be a separation between the protest and Trump, meaning that his intentions were to march peacefully, but meanwhile, the public is pissed and chaotic disarray, saying we need to stop this. And
they're pissed because Trump makes them pissed. They're not translating. Trump makes them pissed. Okay, when Trump says all of us here today do not want to see our election victory, what victory? He lost, stolen by emboldened radical left Democrats, which is what they're doing, and stolen by the fake news media. That's what they've done, and that's what they're doing. We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved. Our country's had enough. We will not take it anymore, and that's what this is about. And to use a favorite term that all of you people really came up with, we will stop the steal. What are they trying to stop there? What are they doing there? They're going to use their speech?
So a motivational speech to incite people to peacefully march towards the Capitol. I mean, this sounds like a speech to question maybe an investigative process or fact-finding process, even by the public, because we're inclined to question government activities, whether or not an election was legitimate or not. This can happen post-election. Now, if a group comes together and wants to maybe riot, he didn't state riot. He didn't state cause an insurrection or incite treason.
Just real quick, you acknowledge how unbelievably intellectually bankrupt it is for you to keep saying he didn't use the word riot. He didn't use the word treason over and over again. You know that it never works that way, right?
Hey, even if we throw this language out, was there even language adjacent to, causing a disruption as far as the buildings?
Fight like hell or you'll lose your country? I feel like fight like hell or you'll lose your country is a pretty big one, yeah?
Yeah, fight like hell. I can walk down the street in a basically the ABs that happened by Planned Parenthood in March and Fight Like Hell that way with picket signs. Well, so it's like that's interpretation. You're assuming that every single person in the crowd was like, oh, we're just going to cause some treasonous event towards the Capitol. Like,
I mean, they all assumed that, didn't they? Didn't they assume that when they broke into the Capitol?
Okay, let's say they assume this. Can you at least demonstrate how Trump told them to do this?
Why, if Trump didn't tell them to do it, why didn't Trump stop them when they were doing it?
Okay, once again, we're at an impasse. When I ask you during this whole debate where the inciting of this was, when I'm saying that, so let me go ahead and give you a hypothetical. Let's say I tell you to walk down to the store to get groceries. Did I tell you how to walk to the store? Did I tell you which avenue to take or anything like this? When I say peacefully protest, patriotically protest towards the Capitol, is he telling them how to do this?
Well, it would depend on his action. Okay, let's try another hypothetical. Let's say
there's a translation error. But
wait, hold on. We're gonna play a hypothetical game. If I walk to a pool and I see that there's a child that just fell into the pool and the child is drowning, and I don't do anything to stop the drowning child, do you think I have some moral responsibility there for not intervening?
Right, but you're talking about maybe a delay. He did this nonetheless, and you could say, well, maybe there's a delay. I'm gonna ask the
same question when you're done rambling and trying to obfuscate. Do you have a moral responsibility to save the child when you watch the child drowning?
The question right now. Everybody has an opportunity.
I'm not saying everybody. I'm saying if you walk to a pool and you see a child walk in and they're drowning, do you have a moral responsibility to help the child?
Regardless if it's me or not, everybody has a responsibility. This applies to me or not. So if
do you think that responsibility?
Delayed action does that? Okay, so if I have a delayed action,
do you think that responsibility? Do you think that responsibility would be even greater for a lifeguard?
Destiny, if I have a delayed reaction, does that prove incitement of said riot or said insurrection?
If you said that if you said that you hated the kid and you told the kid to go play in the pool, yeah, it might actually. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's not what happened in this case.
He did. He told them to go play in the pool. He didn't tell them to drown. He told them to go play in the pool. And then when they started drowning, he didn't stop it. You don't think that looks really suspicious?
Yeah, great. You can say this. But here's the thing, though. I'm still not hearing a correlation between inciting and a motivation.
You can't say correlation. I've already won on the correlation ground. He said words. People walked to the Capitol and they committed a riot that broke into the Capitol to delay a lawful process. So you're the one that's fighting now on the causal chain, and you're saying that it was all a coincidence.
Doesn't make any sense. By the way, back to this, Destiny. I'm telling you, if he has a delayed reaction and said it nonetheless, all you're doing is mincing words and saying, well, he just didn't do it fast enough. That doesn't mean anything. If I do something slow, it doesn't mean that I incited it or my motivation or intention was to cause this.
If he had something, no, because if he had something to gain by dragging his feet, which he did, and if when the insurrection was happening, the only thing he and Giuliani were doing were making phone calls to lawmakers to try to certify the fake electorate slates, yeah, it kind of seems like he wanted it to happen. He was facilitating it.
You're presuming to know somebody's mind by saying this is why he drug his feet and this is why he has incentive to do this.
Are you assuming we can never figure out what's in somebody's mind?
In this case, can you demonstrate why Trump, that he dragged his feet on purpose? Can you demonstrate that?
Yeah, by the phone calls that he was making to lawmakers to get them to delay the certification of the vote.
You mean after or before or during?
During, when the insurrection was happening and Trump was capitalizing on it, rather than doing something which he's commanded to do as president of, we now see he sent the troops to D.C., so apparently he can do it, right? Even when the mayor doesn't want it, he's got the troops there now. Why didn't he send them there during January 6th?
So if there were FBI agents in the crowd working for who? Who are in, let's just say FBI agents were working in the crowd.
Well, they'd be working
employed by at the time?
Donald
Trump. Were they working on behalf of Trump?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the thing, though. If I have a delayed reaction, nonetheless, I'm going to get off this topic right here because this is moot. So if we're talking about the subject about a delayed reaction, that still doesn't prove...
Oh, you forgot that Trump was in office. That's why you moved on from that.
No intent or motivation. This implies that there's no intent or motivation. We can go ahead and separate the two. It doesn't mean that, the reason why he delayed this, you still can't prove this. It doesn't really make any sense. I don't see, because he did this and he cited anything from his sources and saying he slowed his feet or dragged his feet because of this. This could have just been a number of errors. This happens. Still, back to the
Excuse me, he was literally tweeting as it was going on. How can that be a number of errors if he was tweeting?
Okay, so he was tweeting. A delayed tweet, same thing. Still, if he's tweeting this and still tweeted, I need you to go ahead and peacefully protest, but just like the same by saying, God bless you all, I love you, and calls this a fraudulent election before this, and is saying, hey, I need you guys to cease this. later, it still doesn't promote the promotion of this. It still doesn't say, hey,
if rioters were outside the White House chanting, hang Mike Pence, and then Donald Trump just tweets 10 minutes later, Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts. Those are his fake electors, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones, which they were asked to previously certify. The USA demands the truth. This is already an hour and a half after the breach into the secured grounds of the Capitol. It was 10 minutes after they had already breached into the building, and it was 10 minutes after there was already video footage of people saying, hang Mike Pence.
Here's the thing, though. What's your definition of insurrection?
No, I'm good on that. I'm good on this one.
We are at the 20-minute mark. Martae, you will have the last word, so go ahead, give your closing thoughts, tell people where they can find you, and
these are my closing thoughts. My definition is a group of people planning a serious attempt to overthrow the government using violence. He has not once demonstrated this during this debate. He hasn't described a plan by President Trump or people to use violence. Once again, throughout this whole debate, I was listening the whole time and try to listen to where Trump was telling them to use violence by, mind you, only specific people, certain subset of individuals, which are small, brought guns. Mind you, everybody, this is the most armed nation in the world right now, mind you, and everybody has two-way rights, because when we have, I would say a protest and people bring guns, doesn't mean that we're going to go ahead and use this for an insurrection. That doesn't make any sense. So, by the way, he still hasn't proved that there's basically an incentive or Trump saying, I'm telling you to use violence towards the government. And not only this, a serious attempt to overthrow the government using violence by a planned event or a coup or some treasonous way. This language hasn't been used the whole time. During him or during this debate, I haven't seen from my opponent at all at once. You can find me on YouTube at On The Edge, and you can find me on Twitter at Mighty Martae, and also The Real Mighty Mouse on Instagram.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate you, and we're gonna let you go. Okay, buddy?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Right, what a start. What a start. I do have polls that I'm going to be running in my YouTube chat after these and near the end of these, and you can vote on who you think did better in this one. Okay, so far we're looking at, with 101 votes, Destiny is at 75% on who won the question, and Martae is at 101%. Well, it's going up and down as we speak. So yeah, okay. These are bite sides, so even if it gets a little frustrating or a little annoying, that's why we keep it short and sweet. Okay.